With a sudden shift to the virtual teaching during COVID-19 pandemic and the introduction of NEP, universities and higher education institutions will have to prepare digital curriculum, repositories, and pedagogy and focus more on digital infrastructure and platforms to realize the full potential of the National Education Policy NEP 2020. To elaborate this further, we have a keynote address on paradigm shift in education by Mr. Saunak Ghoshal, Partner, Advisory Technology Consulting, PwC.
A very warm welcome to all of you who are attending the session today. And thank you, Microsoft and Economic Times, for organizing this summit on reimagining higher education. It is my honor and pleasure to be present here today and talk about paradigm shift in education, which we are witnessing at an accelerated pace, specifically over the last year or so in our country. Digital technologies obviously have become an extremely important mantra for everyone. Schools, universities are onboarding students digitally. End-to-end learning and teaching is happening on online platforms. We are seeing a lot of awareness sessions, seminars, and marketing activities happening on digital platforms, and we are spoiled with choices in terms of technologies and platforms that different organizations are offering to us. A number of edtech startups have also come forward with their unique solutions, and they are also moving at a very fast pace with innovative ideas. We are seeing these innovative platforms being adopted by different educational organizations, and we are also seeing the benefits that they can derive from adoption of these platforms. However, the challenge of technology maturity, fitment, and adoption is still persistent across different organizations, and appropriate strategy needs to be employed in order to circumvent these difficulties. We should also keep in mind that digital is not the only solution to our education challenges, since imbalanced adoption of digital technologies can create digital divide, and polarized adoption can make a large segment of the student population suffer. We also had our government coming up with their national education policy in 2020. Their intention was to create a new pattern of education and to address the gaps that exist today. While this presents great immediate opportunities to the education institutes, but it is also extremely important that long-term planning being made to make best utilization of this policy. Now, if you look at the changes that has happened over the last year or so, in my mind, there are four broad themes in which the paradigm is shifting in education. And I would like to go through them one by one. The first change that we are seeing is in terms of online education and digital adoption. COVID obviously have instigated the adoption of online education in a much broader and wider way. Whether we want to call it hybrid education, asynchronous, synchronous education, but after an initial hesitation, many schools, colleges, universities, they have implemented different technology platforms for learning as well as for communication and governance. Regulatory bodies such as UGC, AICTE, and even school boards have also made their operational framework more agile and technology driven. Large-scale technology platform providers like Microsoft have stood up and they have created innovative and convenient model for education institutes. The entire ecosystem has worked together in terms of making education available during the pandemic time. Thanks to this adoption, we are now talking about the possibilities of true sustainable hybrid education and adaptive learning through personalized content in the future, where every single student can be taken care of personally by the system, by the teachers. The second shift that we are seeing is in the progress of edtech and the corresponding adoption. One estimate says that there are close to 5,000 edtech companies in India. Few of them, as we know, have become unicorns. And if the current trend continues, very soon we will have many more on our hands. Since January till August this year, Indian edtechs have received 3.8 billion USD as compared to 2.3 billion USD last year in terms of funding. We are also seeing significant consolidation in the edtech market, which will help to create more value for the overall economy. Now, these investments are not only benefiting our economy and helping us to create jobs, but in the long run, I believe these edtechs are going to shape the Indian education landscape in a much broader way. How? Presently, the trend that we are seeing in terms of the offerings of these edtechs are mostly horizontal replication of what has worked in other economies. There is no drastically different value propositions that they're bringing to the table. But I am hopeful, I'm optimist that these edtechs will grow in terms of vertical innovation and creation of novel concepts. The growth and investments that are coming our way will motivate us to invent new technology solutions. It could be based on AI, could be based on brain mapping, could be leveraging 5G or AR/VR technologies, but it will create a complete vertical shift and foster a new equation of education in our country. The third point, quite obviously, is NEP 2020. It'll be very interesting to see how technology-led education and national education policy will shape education in India for the future. While we will definitely get to know more on NEP from our esteemed panelists, I would like to touch upon four moot points that I felt we should keep in mind when we discuss and we think about utilizing NEP for education in India. First, NEP is a prescription for large multidisciplinary education institutes for providing wider choices to the students and to the teachers in terms of their ability to learn and teach. Secondly, it is also going to take affordable quality education to the larger section of students through online and digital platforms. We can call it inclusive education. Thirdly, it is definitely creating the scope for upskilling, reskilling, and most importantly, creation of a platform for continuous lifelong learning for the larger population. Sustainable, continuous education for everyone. And lastly, it is also providing an opportunity for universities to grow, consolidate, and become a high quality research institute or a high quality teaching institute or both. Creation of additional value. Now, all these aspects are going to foster knowledge sharing among all stakeholders in the education ecosystem, catalyze cross-pollination and innovation on research, help enhance quality, bring destructive creativity to the table, and also to engineer sustainable efficiency in the entire education system. I'm hopeful that NEP 2020 is going to create the foundation to enhance the total productivity factor in our economy, thereby pushing our community and society to new heights of prosperity. I'm very hopeful that this is what the final outcome is going to be from this change in policy. The last paradigm shift I would like to highlight is slightly on the negative side. I touched upon it. It's a digital divide. Digital divide, as we are seeing, has gone up significantly in our country and can really become a large deterrent for the overall growth of education in our community. A large section of students is going without education over the last few months due to lack of accessibility. This is a drag force which is going to hold back our growth. For me, those who could afford devices, internet, they're not fortunate, but they are normal. Our focus should be to create this normalcy for the population who couldn't afford or access it. This is how we will be able to create educational equity among all. This is where participation from government, corporate, regulatory bodies, NGOs, impact funds will become extremely key. Movements like broadband for all need to be taken into the next level. Large scale platform providers, telecom providers, device curators, academia, along with government, of course, they should come together to narrow down this divide as much as possible and as soon as possible. Otherwise, this digital divide has the potential to take the wind out of the sail of the movement that we are seeing in our education arena. While this has the potential to hold us back, the other three paradigm shifts are indeed helping us to move in a favorable direction. It is said that education is the best investment one can make to help us prosper as an individual, as a community, as a nation, and also for mankind as a whole. Let us give our education the best of our effort that it deserves and help make this planet a better place for our next generations. I thank you, Microsoft and Economic Times again for arranging the summit. With this, I will conclude my keynote and thank you all of you for listening to me.
Thank you, gentlemen, for an informative discussion. Let's proceed further to the next session. Stay tuned.